a tournament where my friend John said he found a body in the bushes over there. I ran over there because I'm a healing monk to try and help, but obviously my magic wasn't strong enough because the dude's body was missing a head. So my friend decided to try and use a necromancer spell, which didn't work, which I knew it wouldn't. And apparently we contaminated the crime scene because that spell uses a lot of glitter.
Your Honor, I object!
And why is that, Mr. Reed?
Because it's devastating to my case!
I gotta tell you, you brightened my day, ma'am. All right?
That's what the last guy said, and then he sued me.
Hey everybody, happy Monday. So glad to see some people here. Welcome if it's your first time or if you're returning to the Brit Happens channel, where we discuss cases that have irregularities. And boy, oh boy, is Massachusetts the place to focus on right now if you're interested in that kind of stuff. If you guys are watching live, please go ahead and hit the like button. Also do the same thing if you're on replay. I don't know why I criterierized it that way, but please hit the like button. We are trying to get the word out for a very, very special standout happening this week. We are going to be doing a standout outside of Michael Morrissey's office. He is the district attorney of Norfolk County in Massachusetts, and he is at the center of all these cases that you see at the bottom of the screen right now. The John O'Keefe and Karen Reed case is in Norfolk County. The Sandra Birchmore case is in Norfolk County. And the Juston Root case was investigated by DA Morrissey. So if you are able to help get the word out, please share this stream. Please like this stream. If you see any posts about it, please share. There also is plenty of social media to be watching. The Sandra Birchmore Facebook page, Justice for Sandra Birchmore, and the Justice for Juston Root Facebook page is where to check for all that. Let me go ahead and welcome some of the people here live. We've got Sherry D. So glad that you're here, my love. Jen's in the chat. She's double teaming. She's also a guest tonight. We've got Barbara here. Hi, Barbara. So glad you're watching. Hey, Toots. Christina. Hey. Christina is one of our fearless moderators. Please be sure to thank the mods here on this channel. And without further ado, I'm going to welcome in for the first time to the Brit Happens channel, my friend Mizzy.
Hi.
Hey, so glad you're here today. Oh, of course. Anytime. Anytime. You just say the word anytime you want to pop on here. And a great friend of mine, Jen Root.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Of course. So glad you ladies are here. You guys both have been such amazing advocates for basically the people who have suffered among the worst at the hands of District Attorney Mike Morrissey. And those people cannot speak for themselves. So they, are very fortunate to have the two of you, and of course the rest of us who are helping get the word out as well. But I'm so glad y'all are here. I'm glad that also we are utilizing the Karen Reed case to help amplify the case of Sandra Birchmore and the case of Juston Root. I just think that's amazing.
Yeah.
So for anybody who's not familiar with either of these other cases that very deeply coincide with Karen Reed, I'm sure you guys have been watching the Karen Reed trial, but I would love for our audience tonight to get a very brief rundown of Sandra Birchmore's case and Juston Root's case. Mizzy, can we start with you, my love, and just kind of tell us, a
Yeah.
quick overview of Sandra.
Sandra was born in Boston. She grew up in Stoughton to a single mother. She went through the Stoughton school system. She started a program there when she was about 9. It was basically for parents to get together and with their children and learn how to better coping mechanisms to get through problem solving with them. And then later on, she through the Stoughton school system, she joined the Police Explorers program through the Stoughton Police Department. When she was 12, there were 3 police officers who started grooming Sandra, and this continued till she was 15, and where Matthew Farwell began essaying her, and this abuse continued till she died when she was 23. They began having I don't know how to word lightly, because I say it a little different on my show.
Say it however you say it on your show.
It was very violent, their relationship. And his twin brother, William Farrell, was one of the officers who groomed her and also started abusing Sandra. And also their mentor, Robert Devine, who was also abusing Sandra. And this abuse kept going until she was 23, where she became pregnant by Matthew Farwell, and he later went on to murder her and stage it to look like a suicide. And the Canton police first were on the scene, and then they turned it over to the Massachusetts State Police, and the Massachusetts State Police and the Massachusetts medical examiner ruled it a suicide, and basically nothing happened from there till the FBI took over the case. And in August 28th, 2024, they arrested Matthew Farwell for murdering Sandra. He was arrested for murdering a witness against him, and now he sits in a federal jail waiting his court date. His next court date is on July 1st, and hopefully we'll get some kind of date of when his trial will be. And right now, that's where we sit in her case. And we're hoping that the other 2 officers will also get some kind of charges. And there are other men that are also involved in this. There was also he was the Stoughton animal control officer. He got a sexual favor for a cat, and he went on to befriend Sandra, and he is a witness. He will be probably a federal witness against Matthew Farwell because he knows a lot about the case. And so that's where we sit right now.
Now, just to clarify, to this day, there still are no charges from the Commonwealth against Matt Farwell. I understand that he has been indicted federally for murdering Sandra, but it was in reality a double murder, because Sandra at that time, not only was she pregnant, but she knew and had every intention of keeping that baby. By all accounts, she was excited about it, right? She was buying clothes, and she
baby
had
seats
prepared
and carriages and everything she could get her hands on.
Yeah. And she had also prepared a very special and unique announcement of her pregnancy for social media to do on Valentine's Day.
Yeah, she had her friend paint a canvas saying something like my special Valentine, basically saying that she was my very own Valentine, I think that's what it said, and to announce her pregnancy. I mean, she was already telling everybody. I mean, she was calling friends. She had
like privately,
but she was ready. She just wanted everybody in the world to know that she was so excited to have this child. And that's why when it happened, her family and friends were like, there's no way she did this to herself.
Yeah, certainly not. I mean, and I can't name anybody who would off themselves and right beforehand say, well, let me order some DoorDash and start a load of laundry before
Yep.
I do this. I mean, it seems so obvious to me that
Yeah.
this was not her. There was also security camera footage of Farwell entering and leaving her apartment right around the time that they believe was the TOD as well.
Yeah, her phone stopped moving a few minutes before he left. So, and Fanning, I knew long before that because Fanning admitted that to me. And those are two, I mean, Jen will mention probably some of these names too, but Fanning on my case, Sandra's case, Fanning, Dunn, and Michael Morrissey to me are the three, most important people in her case out of Norfolk DA's office.
And Fanning and Dunn also were involved in the Karen Reed case. He was the direct supervisor of Michael Proctor, and Trooper Dunn also was involved in the investigation of John O'Keefe's death. And he was the one who somehow let that library video that would have either completely exonerated or completely convicted Karen Reed just slip through his fingers.
And Garino.
Right?
Garino.
Yeah, well, yes, definitely Garino.
Yeah.
Something else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Entirely. And Guarino also conveniently missed the north of 30,000 messages between Sandra and Matthew Farwell. And they basically concluded that there was no existing relationship. Maybe they conceded that there was in the past, but they said that at least presently, around the time of Sandra's death, that there was no relationship going on that they were aware of, and they claimed to not know about those messages.
Well, Matthew admitted that he broke up. He said he went over there to break up with her that night. But Sandra backed up all of her messages to her computer. So even though they didn't have them from Hi Broken Baker, even though they said they didn't have them, they had them all from her computer. So they had them from the jump. So I agree, Garino not finding those messages is like him not finding Jen McCabe's Google search. So It's a pattern. It shows the pattern, but they had those messages. Fanning himself went through those messages, and he told me himself, oh, there's nothing there. There's not much. He didn't incriminate himself much. And I knew that was a lie because I had already known that he admitted to hooking up with her at 15. And then when I saw the FBI report, my mind was like blown. I knew he was lying, but I didn't realize how bad these messages were.
Oh, like word.
They're so disturbing.
I remember hearing some of them in the federal indictment and just having my stomach turn. It really would shock anybody who hasn't already heard it. And Mizzy, thank you, Christina, for saying that. So, guys, just so you know, in the show notes here, I do have these guests tagged, but I also have links in which you can support each of these causes as well. And then, Mizzy, would you mind sharing with the audience where we can find you on differing social media networks?
Yeah, if people are looking for more information on Sandra's case, the best places to go to, we have a website for her. It's just justiceforsandrabirchmore.com, or you can go to the Facebook page, which is by the same name. And you can also go to, if you're on X, you can go to @Sandra Birchmore. Those are the three best places to get information on Sandra's case. I'm always putting out information. That's Barb, Sandra's cousin.
Oh, awesome. Barbara, I'm really glad you're watching. I didn't know which Barbara that this was. So glad you're here, Barbara. And then Jen, now a lot of this audience, if you guys are returning to the channel, you may have seen Jen on this channel before. We have been covering Juston Root's case, but for anybody who isn't aware, could you also, just like Mizzy did, give a very brief overview of Juston's case?
Yeah, I'll first just say that Justin's case was also in Norfolk County with a lot of the very same investigators. Fanning was the lead investigator on Juston's, the same as Sandra's. Juston's death investigation was 30 days officially, right? I know that it started from the second it happened that, things weren't followed up on. So my younger brother, Juston, suffered from mental illness. So he had schizoid affective disorder, and he was on a busy hospital campus, surrounded by 4 mental health centers, 2 of which are residential units for people who are struggling with mental illness. And Justin had a conversation with a Brigham security guard, and he did not just show up there running around with a clear plastic paintball gun. This particular officer noticed something clear in his waistband and then reported that that Justin had threatened to shoot him. And so that was not true. And so one thing led to another. And I would just say that every security guard, like the security guards that were involved, along with the police, it was escalated every step of the way. So down there were 15 bullets shot, and then he drove away in his car, and they did a violent pit maneuver, and that's when Justin's speed picked up. I actually know that they were going very slow on Huntington Ave, and it's a shocking video that, they probably didn't want anybody to see. He crashed, and basically he dropped into the mulch area. He had lost 2,000 cc's of blood. And an EMT passed by her, was in her car. She came over to help him, and she just described his dire condition. And his eyes were rolling back his head, and basically the police came with their guns running towards her and told her to run. And then 3 seconds later, they shot 31 bullets. There were 5 Boston police officers and 1 Massachusetts state trooper. So the 6 of them shot him, and we've lost our civil suit. Usually, like, families can't get any information about really what's happened with their loved one, because unless you file a lawsuit, you have then like subpoenas. Like, listen, you're only going to get what they really want you to have, because let's face it. I mean, I've fought for certain things for years. Okay, years. It shouldn't take years. I mean, just like you're seeing with Karen Reed's case, it's like, how much stuff has been withheld. I mean, it's really a flawed system. That's the way the Norfolk County District Attorney's Office is operating when, an officer is involved with a death, is just, they shouldn't be investigating, period.
Right.
So, that's not how they would want their loved ones' investigations handled. We know that they can do good investigations if they want to, especially for rubber duckies. Yeah. And, even with Justin's case, it's like, even with the body worn cameras, there was only 1 rolling. It just happened to go dark right before the shooting and during the shooting. The main officer from Boston, he was the closest to Justin in Brookline. I would say that he was going to get him. Like, Justin didn't have a chance. That guy wanted him dead. And then he lied about his body worn camera. And I saw from another body worn camera, because I watched every second of everybody's body worn camera many times. He took it off and threw it into his cruiser and then lied under oath. Yeah. So, I mean, these things are all happening. But I have to say that, with the Karen Reed case, what's come to light is something that I've already known for a long time. And so it's really important. And that's the reason why we're having the Stronger Together Standout on Thursday, June 12th from 2 to 4 p.m. at the Norfolk DA's office. The reason why it's so important is that, Karen Reed's case could very well be wrapped up, this week. And we really have to keep the momentum going for justice and for the Norfolk District Attorney's Office to be held accountable. There should be some charges from their office in Sandra Birchmore's case, without a doubt.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the officers, if anybody really actually looked at any of Justin's stuff, I mean, I think there could definitely be a murder conviction, at least for that officer in Boston, because he shot Justin's clear paintball gun in half. So he knew that he was not armed and he's covered in blood. So that guy actually knew. And you can prove that he knew. I mean, he's going to say that he thought it was real because it was so fast, but it's like, no, I don't think I think people who see it, they're like, no, that's not. So it's all about people power at this time, at this juncture. I mean, obviously Justin's, death was 5 years ago. It still feels like yesterday. I did so much that it's almost a little strange because I'm not doing as much as I was, right? Because I was doing 3 lawsuits.
Right.
Now I'm just down to 1. And what I've been told is that's my case with Brigham. And that's set to go to trial in 2027. So that's all I have really, going on as far as action. But the main thing is to keep this momentum going and this shining of the light.
Yes.
We need more people. We need more people to know. That's how we're going to move things.
Well, and, as awful as what's happening to Karen Reed has been, and of course, nobody wants this for her. I will say, as somebody who is not local to Massachusetts, I would not have known about what happened to Sandra or what happened to Juston had it not been for Karen Reed's case. And as I got, deeper in the weeds of learning each fact, each element, I came across both of y'all's cases. And so it is so important that we continue to use what's going on with Karen while people are listening, while people have their ear to the ground about what's going on up there in Massachusetts, and bring the light back. I mean, look, Mizzy, at what happened with Sandra. After the Karen Reed case began, it kind of highlighted what else has happened in that area. And then Matthew Farwell was finally indicted. And I understand that a large part of that was Dr. Bodden's autopsy, or I forget what kind of examination exactly he did, but he did review the autopsy. And I know that what he ended up saying had a large part in that as well. But I don't think as many people would have known had there not already been a growing audience and growing support for Karen Reed. So I'm really glad that you guys have, put your heads together and started a collective effort like this. And for anybody just tuning in, because it looks like we've gotten a lot of people who just popped in. Hello. This is Mizzy and Jen Root guesting tonight. Jen Root is the sister of Juston Root, and Mizzy is a very powerful advocate for Sandra Birchmore. And we are promoting tonight the standout on Thursday, June 12th, outside of Michael Morrissey's office. And we are calling for him to resign because he has done nothing but bugger up all these cases. He has not done a balanced, fair investigation into the death of Juston Root or the death of Sandra Birchmore. He still has brought no charges against Matthew Farwell for the death of Sandra's baby. And he also is still just spearheading the prosecution of Karen Reed, despite the fact that she is not receiving a fair trial. I don't care if you think Karen did this or not, but she, any ethical prosecutor would have dropped this by now. And that is Morrissey's call to make. It's not Hank Brennan's call. It's not Adam Lally's call. It's Michael Morrissey's call to make, and he still has not made it. So what we're doing tonight is getting the word out about this standout happening Thursday. So please, if you can help spread the word, it'll be at 2:00 outside of Michael Morrissey's office. Let me pull up the address one more time. It's at 45 Shawmut Road in Canton. Did I pronounce that correctly?
Yes. And we'll have, lots of extra signs. I just did like a fast sign production thing. So we'll have extra signs if you don't have any. We're really just trying to focus on Morrissey resigning. We want him to know that there's pressure and momentum and people coming together to make sure he is out of office.
100%. I mean, imagine how differently all this might have gone had somebody else been in that district attorney's position.
Had people a long time ago actually been held accountable years and years ago, because let me just say, if we don't change things, there's going to be another Karen Reed. Okay. There's going to be, there is another Sandra. I mean, I'm sure there is other things going on. Like if people are turning their backs within the police stations and within our district attorney's offices, we have to say that ends. That ends. That's got to end, because we just cannot have any more people, having this happen to and to families. I mean, it's devastating.
It is.
And also for communities. I mean, we're all watching the trial today, right? And we're just thinking about, wow, this is our legal system. Not only just in Massachusetts, but across the country. They're looking at Massachusetts and they're looking at this judge, and it's like, okay, like, is everybody seeing what we're seeing? I mean, I kind of just thought to myself today, like, gosh, it's a good thing I didn't actually have to have a trial with Juston, because you know what? I wasn't going to get I feel like I never got a fair shake anyway. I mean, it was kind of, all of a sudden I realized at the end, like, I never had a chance. But still, I thought, what if I had to go to trial? This is the sort of trickery and, move the ball, stuff that's going on. And it infuriates me, because I know that for Juston, the closest that we're ever going to get for him for justice is Karen being freed. That's where it's at. And because more and more people are knowing and seeing what is happening here in Norfolk County. And, we're shedding the light. What can we do?
Finally. And Jen, I just have to say, because you mentioned that you have extra signs. When I was up in Massachusetts, I loved your giant 2 or 3 paneled sign that said they cannot investigate themselves, because 100% an internal investigation, that automatically in and of itself on its face is going to reinforce not looking as deeply as you should, not turning over every single stone, right? So I love the point you made with it. I think you're a master sign maker. So please make sure, guys, if y'all are local, come grab one of Jen's signs and hold it proudly.
I won't have that big of one, but you know what? It's funny, because when I go, to boots on the ground and go down the course, like, Jen, can your sign get any bigger? I'm like, well, actually, it probably could, but you're not going to see me anymore. But the reason why that sign, and it says, they cannot investigate themselves, and under they, it says law enforcement, because the people who are driving by, I want them to reflect for a second on that. Like, wait, they investigate themselves. They investigated their friends, their buddies, their close working relationships with these people. Like, I want there to be some critical thinking happening, okay? Because that's really where it's at. I didn't know any of this until this happened to Justin. I mean, I didn't know. And I mean, when that happened to me, it like, it literally broke me open. Like, oh my gosh, like I
All
can't.
while you're trying to like go through your grief too.
Oh, forget the grief. I haven't even done grief yet. I mean, it's been straight up 5 years of fighting, straight up, literally.
That's awful.
But it's like, yes, now that it's slowed down, yes, I do feel that there can be more. I still can't believe that it even happened. It just like, when I really think about it and I think about him laying there, it's just too much to handle in your heart. You kind of want to go to the woods and scream. But I don't know. My son was telling me about the smash rooms. There's a you go smash things. I was like, that could be interesting.
The axe throwing places too, where you can order a beer and just they have like, these stall hallways. Oh, they're great. There's one near where I live in Florida. And yeah, you're given like a half dozen axes that are, 1.5 feet or so long, and you just throw the hatchet down and try to hit the target. It's a blast. We had a question from Bob here. Bob, the answer is yes. You are thinking of, I believe, Craig Casey, who was actually found not far from One Meadows.
Yeah.
And that was a heck of a case because they found the car, but they did not find the driver of the car who was in the same yard. And a pedestrian or something found Craig Casey in the bushes something close to an hour after law enforcement had already left. It's embarrassing.
The fact that they didn't do a full-on search and call out other people to really do a search, or even post an officer there and then call people back when it was light. It's just, it makes no sense that what Canton PD did with that case. It's like,
well, and I mean, the same can be said in all these cases. I mean, who rules a hyoid bone in a woman's body, a broken hyoid bone, as a self-checkout? Because statistically speaking here, a broken hyoid bone occurs in less than 1% of female suicides. On the other hand, with homicides of a female, it occurs in well over 50%. So
that was one of the pieces of information that, because I didn't have access to her autopsy, that was one piece that I was looking for, that I wanted to know. And I just had that feeling that it was, because I believed in my heart that he had done this to her. So it was like, I was like, if that's broken, that definitely, goes even more towards, all the work that we were doing to get it out there. Early on, I had a source come to me and tell me that she didn't see the autopsy, but somebody very close to them had seen the autopsy and said she was definitely, it wasn't what they were saying. So I had an inkling then, but I just didn't have the proof in my hands, and then
didn't get that confirmation yet.
Yeah, and thankfully Dr. Bodden came out, in the middle of the Karen retrial,
And there were other things too that any law enforcement officer worth their salt would have taken note of, and maybe said, maybe we need to go a little deeper here, like her broken necklace. Right.
They didn't know her. They didn't find her broken necklace. It was the family who found her broken
Yeah.
knuckles.
Yeah. I mean, who just overlooks that?
They took a photo of it. They took photos because they took a photo of the floor, but they didn't like find it. They just thought it was trash on the floor.
Yeah.
But there was a indentation in her upper chest. Like one of the
Mhm.
things that they should have been an inkling that this wasn't what they thought it was. There was an indentation in her upper chest. I haven't obviously have not seen the photos, but I assume it's like in this area
Mhm.
of the buckle.
Oh.
If she had, and the buckle ended up by her, I believe it's the right ear with the ligature. How could if she had done this, how could she have an indentation here if the buckle's
Correct.
up here? So
And then
yeah.
with her being, Sandra in life was so petite. She was what, 4'10", 4'11".
Yeah, 4'10".
Didn't weigh much, 100 pounds soaking wet, body type, okay? And if you were in a seated position, the amount of conscious effort that you would need to continuously make, it's not one of those
Yeah,
split second decisions and you're done. It's something that she would have had to put her own pressure into continuously. It would have been difficult mentally to do, and in my opinion would have been almost impossible physically to do, because if she had, say, passed out, because usually if you're doing something like that, you're going to pass out before, in a lot of cases, you might pass out prior to the full effect taking over. So it seems so off to me that they would look at that circumstance and say, yes, she did this on her own. It seems impossible to me that they would look at Juston Root's circumstances and just expect the public to go along with this. And I mean, look at the marks on Officer John O'Keefe's arm, right? They are trying to tell us right now that he somehow was hit hard enough with a car to have caused the taillight to shatter, but yet it wasn't enough force for him to have a bruise or a broken bone. How does that factor in? How is it so much force that the taillight shattered, but not enough force for him to even have a contusion? I mean, I just can't believe how much they're putting before the public and not giving a shit, and fully expecting us to just willingly go along and say, yes, master, we believe you.
Yeah.
And just let it go and go about our happy days.
Well, part of the problem is, people are taught to obey the police. People are taught the police are right. People are taught that, when a district attorney comes and speaks, that they're telling the truth. And they're learning through these 3 cases, no, it doesn't always go that way. And they're learning through these 3 cases that Michael Morrissey's office has an issue, that it goes deeper than just one case. I think part of the problem is, like I said, we are taught to respect the police and obey them. And, if you ever have an issue, go to the police. And through media like television and movies, we glorify the police. And I'm not one of those people who are ACAB. I don't believe all cops are bad. I don't believe that every officer acts like these officers that we're dealing with, but there are some, and the public has an issue of understanding that there are some.
Sure.
You know?
And the best way to remedy any kind of wedge that has been driven between law enforcement and the population that they are supposed to protect and serve, right, is to have that transparency, to call out the bad apples, to hold them accountable, and to do so in a way that even if it's embarrassing for a little bit of time, you need to be forthright about it, because if you don't, then you have this kind of jumbled mess that we're seeing in Michael Morrissey's case. I think Mickey Mouse could run against him next year and win, because a lot of people are probably going to take one look at whoever is on that docket and say, well, his name isn't Mike Morrissey, and that's enough for me. I mean, that's how much he has tarnished his own reputation here.
Yeah.
And he doesn't care.
I agree. We hope that's what happens.
I mean, we hope, but this is the thing. I mean, you know, there a lot of people might have heard about the Karen Reed case, but they might not know that it's the Norfolk DA, right? They're getting little bits and pieces, and people don't know everything like that we've been watching. And so that's the other important thing to do, is raise awareness that, you know, what happened in her case, but then also talk about, you know, Sandra's case and Juston's case, because it's not just one. I mean, it's, you know, it's
Right.
2, it's 3. I'm sure. I mean, there's more. But, you know, we can't like get over it. What's interesting about these cases is that it all happened within a span of 24 months. And it was all actually kind of wintry, right? I mean, Juston was February 7th. And anyway, I keep seeing your license plate back there. Britt, I keep seeing your license plate back there. I know it says Jen, but
Jen 227.
My brother was born on January 27th, right? So it's 27, and then he died on 27. And so anyway, when I was looking at Jen, I don't know. It was like, it's funny.
A little bit of it all aligns.
He was always like that with numbers and doing things. So I always feel like it's like him, guiding our same. How do you like that?
I need to send you something privately later, Jen, now that you're bringing that up. It has to, my address, as far as the numbers and everything, has a very strong connection with the case.
It's 524?
No.
All right.
No. You'll see. You'll see. I'll send it to you. But yeah, that's weird. That's super weird. I had this made I think on Amazon. There's like a little private shop, and you just you just say whatever state you want, and they'll make it for you. So I was like, oh gosh, I have to have a 227 Jen.
Yeah.
So we had a question, Jen, from Sherry.
Yeah.
By the way, Sherry, I'm so glad to see you in a chat again. It's been a little bit since.
Yes, Sherry D. I haven't seen you in a while.
We love Sherry D.
Because I haven't been on, on too many shows or even like in chats. But yes, so in Boston, it was 15 shots. One of them ricocheted and hit the valet in the head. He did live, but still, I mean, it's like, wake up, everybody. I mean, I actually get extremely nervous being anywhere where anyone is in law enforcement with guns. Okay. Yeah. I start to feel like, I don't know, if you take out your gun, your bullet can ricochet. And then they shot 31 in Boston. So, and the reason why I say like we are just one is because Juston would add an E to the end of his name. And so he would say that we are just one. And I always felt like, and I still do, that's the message. We are one, we're all trying, there's different things. There's a lot of differences in these cases, but when you get down to like the nuts and bolts, there's some very disturbing similarities, and we are all just one. I mean, we are one planet. We're humans. Like, like, everyone should care. It should not have to happen to you to care, right?
100%. 100%. I feel like, yes, there has been, in the way that Morrissey has approached you guys, the family of Karen, everybody really, with a level of dehumanization um that is just sickening. It seems like he just thinks he's so far above everybody else when, I don't believe he really earned his position in the first place. I've dug into his election history. I know how easy it is for an incumbent in Massachusetts to stay in office. And that man has been in public office in some form or fashion since 1976. He started as a state representative, moved to state senate, and then rolled into the DA position for Norfolk County and has been there since 2010, 2011, and has been running unopposed since then. Well, dating 49 years, all the way back into 1976, he has only had, and before I say it, let me make this clear. Each of those 3 public positions have an election every 2 years. These aren't 4-year cycles. These are 2-year cycles. In nearly 40 years, Mike Morrissey has only had an opponent in 4 elections.
I know. I had to go vote, and it was like he was the only option on the thing, and I was like, "Well, I'm definitely not even there." Oh no,
Just not checking any.
No, I was like, absolutely not. But that's another part of the problem. It's that there has to be other people who can run,
Mhm.
right? I mean,
That's
I'm
why
just
if we
still
feel
processing Bev today. I'm still just processing Bev. I mean, I'm freaking fuming about it. I mean, as everyone else is.
yeah,
This is not how our legal system is supposed to be. This is supposed to be about, justice,
Mhm. It is.
not who has the power.
Well, it's more inverted than the Sallyport video.
I mean, that's the problem with it is they don't care about justice. They care about keeping their power,
Right.
So if doing favors for who God knows who, it keeps them in office, they're going to do that favor. I'm sure people have dirt on Morrissey, and
Yep.
it all depends on who has it.
And who runs against him too. And this highlights for me, and hopefully for the rest of us here in the chat, how important it is to vote in your local elections and to pay attention to more than just the presidential stuff, right? Because your local offices have more of a direct say in what happens to you when these tragedies happen, what happens with your taxes. They have way more of a thumb pressed on you than any of these larger offices do. So please, moving forward, do some research on your local politics, your local elections. Pay attention to who is on the ballot for all these, so that we don't have this type of a situation again. I mean, I as much as I want Morrissey out, I want whoever replaces him to be better and to do better and to
Yeah.
show more respect for the position that he or she holds and what all comes with that.
Yeah. With Michael Morrissey being up for election next year, this is a time for especially Free Karen Reed to really think about what they want to do with their power and their networking going forward from here out. Taking what they did with Karen Reed and moving it to, they did support like local people to on the Canton Select Board. Look what happened. There were two seats changed. So if Free Karen Reed, especially in the state of Massachusetts, can work together and keep the momentum going, not even just stick around for Sandra's case and Juston's case, but to help get somebody like Morrissey out. Hold. We want to hold signs. Go hold signs to get Morrissey out next year. Take your power that you have, and along with that, now that you have this power and you see what was in front of you that you didn't see before, like things that were going on with the police and with DAs and stuff like that. Please don't close your eyes. Please don't put your head back in the sand. Now that your eyes are open, keep them open. But I always say, what are you going to do with that power you've gained? We need to keep the momentum going forward so we can get this man out of office, because the next DA might take a look at Juston's case. Jen could try to get in there and get a meeting with the next DA and say, listen, Morrissey closed this case in 30 days. Can you at least take a look at this case? Here's what I've gathered. This is what information I have.
I've done all the hard work.
Yeah,
all you have to do is look at it.
Look at it. Sandra's family can go in and speak to them about, getting state charges against Matthew, and the abuse charges, going forward, all that, it's these two cases with Michael Morrissey in office, nothing's going to change. And it's so wrong. It's so messed up. And we need him out of office because he's impeding progress.
He is.
And I know Jen feels the same as I do. He has to be out of office to get these two cases further along. I know Sandra's, luckily Sandra has that federal murder case, but it's a state case. The Fed shouldn't have had to step in and get him.
And think about this, Mizzy. The feds would not have been able to step in had Farwell not been fooling around on the clock. That is what allowed the federal charges.
Well, that and because she was a child, she was a minor she was a witness against him for that.
Exactly. She was the witness. The feds cannot just indict on a garden variety murder case. So because she was a witness to other crimes that Farwell committed, the feds were able to step in, but they had to really maneuver and do a lot of digging, because they can't just charge somebody with murder. So, I mean, Farwell still might have been walking around today.
For 3.5 years, that monster walked the streets of Massachusetts. For 3.5 years, when we already knew that he murdered one person and was sexually abusing her from when she was a child.
So who else have he been doing this to all the time that he was allowed to walk free?
And that falls right on Michael Morrissey's hands. Lieutenant Tully, he's in this too. I don't know how much because his name isn't in the papers as much when it comes to Sandra's, but I would like to know how much his sticky fingers are in on that too.
Yeah.
And Fanning and Dunn. I hold the three of them, Morrissey, Fanning, and Dunn, the most responsible for that man walking around. I hate
Yeah.
to even call him a man.
Yeah. I mean, they looked at that security footage, and wasn't it Fanning who even went and talked to Farwell?
Yeah, Fanning and
said,
Dunn.
okay, so they went and talked to him and said, "What the hell, man? What's going on here?" And they let him leave the restaurant.
They actually talked to him at a school parking lot.
Oh my god!
Yes, an elementary school parking lot.
How poetically awful can you get?
And then they had him come back in because they wanted to get his phone, and he had to sign his phone over. And they asked him for DNA because they knew that they were claiming that he was the father of Sandra's baby, and they probably wanted, but he refused. And they were just like, okay, you don't have to give it. If anybody else if any other male was walking around and did that, was accused of this, they would have taken that video of him walking in and out of that apartment, showed it to a judge, and any judge in the state of Massachusetts would have signed that warrant.
Yep, warrant for that DNA.
100%.
100%. And now, isn't it too late? Is it too late now to get DNA confirmation of the fatherhood?
It all depends on what the medical examiner's office did. Morrissey claims that, when the feds arrested him, Morrissey's office was like, we still have DNA we could test. It was kind of like trying to make it sound like they were doing
you need. We'll help you.
It's still ongoing.
Yeah. So
still ongoing. They closed that shit.
No, I know, but
the death portion, the abuse portion was never fully closed, but that was a way for them to say, oh, we're still looking into it. But the death portion, that was closed. That was ruled, it's on her death certificate, suicide. But they never, I forgot what I was going to say. Sorry. I hate when you have to add a few things in there and then you forget what you were.
I know, a multifaceted point.
But yeah, they never. Oh, okay. That's what I was going to say. Supposedly, when a person does an autopsy, they take and they're pregnant. When they get an autopsy and they're pregnant, they're supposed to take what's called a blood card from the baby. So it's just basically taking their blood and putting it on a piece of not cardboard, but note card. And so they can test that DNA to his DNA. As long as that was done, they should be able to test it.
Okay.
But we don't know.
We don't
know if the Emmy was just like, oh, yeah, it's a suicide. Yeah, here you go. We don't know what they did.
Or they might have conveniently lost it. Because, I mean, I remember there being even a little bit of a paper trail of Fanning kind of bartering with that ME.
Well, think of it this way. Those text messages from Trooper Proctor and with the other troopers was very enlightening, like that, all his text messages, because few different reasons, from them saying that they pressure medical examiners. I was like, that's how it happened. That is how it happened. It had to have been. I mean, like we said, the highway boom. And also in Sandra's case, how they were talking about looking for nudes and things of Karen's. There were nudes in Sandra's case because William Farrell was making Sandra send nudes and videos of her having sex with other men. And so when I heard that announced in pre-trial, first trial, my heart sank because I was like, oh, that's what these guys are doing. And I knew what was in Sandra's case. So,
it really interests me how much Karen's case has enlightened certain facets of Juston's case and Sandra's case. But I wonder if the DA were to actually do his job and take the closer look that should have been taken to begin with y'all's cases, would it shed any more light on the Karen Reed, John O'Keefe situation? Because they, like y'all mentioned, they were all very close together in time. There's less than a 2-year, I think, time period, about a 2-year time period among all three of those cases. And many of them involve the same LEOs. But I think maybe that's what Morrissey's afraid of. He knows he's the common denominator here.
Well, that's why Karen's team was fighting so hard to get Sandra's case, read into the record, because, it's Sandra's case proves the corruption in Karen's case, and Karen's case proves the corruption in Juston's case, and it's this this Ferris wheel of corruption. It's like they prove, and that's why they wanted to, because they wanted to show the investigation, how they did a bad investigation here when it involved cops.
Mm-hmm.
They did a bad investigation here, involved cops. There's a problem here.
Yeah.
So and that's why Karen's family and Karen are so supportive, because they get it. They get it. They've told me multiple times, Mizzy, anything you need, like, especially when I was talk to Kelly or her brother, they always say, hey, reach out if you need anything, and it's good that they're paying attention to the other cases too.
Yes, 1000%. That brings back to my mind a question that I had for you before Karen's second trial started. And it was the day of the hearing in which the defense team had moved for details in Sandra's case to be shared in Karen's case, so that they could show, look, they have established a pattern of protective behavior, turning a blind eye when it's for their buddies in law enforcement. And then Hank Brennan had the gall to act like he somehow was advocating for Sandra's family. Got up there on that podium and said, Sandra is a victim. How dare you try to conflate these two cases? They have absolutely nothing to do with one another. How did you and Sandra's family feel watching that?
I could speak for myself that I was just angry at that whole exchange, because he not only got up there and at that time and another time about Fanning, how he said Fanning was the most magical and most amazing person that ever lived on this planet, basically. He doesn't speak for me. Yeah. When it comes to, he definitely doesn't speak for me. He got up there and acted like that there are no connections. It's not just Michael Morrissey's office and the Massachusetts State Police. They both died in Canton. Mm-hmm. There's both cases have allegations of cops committing the crimes. And to get up there and say that there's no connection at all, it doesn't jive. Yes, they're two separate cases. Yes, Karen's case, John's death and Sandra's death are very, very different. Just like Sandra's death is very different from Juston's. You know, they're very different cases.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a slice of this case, well, it's a large slice, like half the pie, of that, you know, it's about the corruption in these cases, you know, but they had to, like, you know, oh, Karen doesn't fit in with this case, you know, and implying that, you know, that John, and it also for him to, like, I feel like in both cases, you know, it's not on Karen's side to talk about John as the victim, although they do, but it's on the DA's side to talk about John as the victim.
Right.
And John is absent from this. You know, what about John? You know, they've done nothing. Like, 2 police officers have gotten up there and acted like total asses.
Mm-hmm.
Dever and Yuri.
Mm-hmm.
And they acted like total asses. You guys are up there as representatives of law enforcement, and especially Yuri, you're up there as one of the people who is supposed to be fighting for John O'Keefe.
Yeah, and in a supervisory position, mind you, as well.
Yes. And he went up there and acted like a complete clown. And for them to go back to what you asked me, for Brennan to go up there and feign all this, like, oh, about Sandra Birchmore, he doesn't give 2 shits about Sandra Birchmore. He doesn't give 2 craps about victims, because if he did, he wouldn't be doing what he's doing right now.
True. I mean, what he's doing is helping bury Sandra even deeper.
Yeah.
By protecting these people, burying Juston even deeper by protecting these LEOs. And these are the same LEOs, mind you, because think about this. Brennan, after this is over, provided that he wasn't maybe promised some kind of position afterwards, I don't know what the agreement was that would have convinced him to take on this case. I
think it's clearly the DA. I think Morrissey's gonna retire, and he's gonna recommend Brennan for DA.
Possibly. And I hope that everybody votes for Juna Perkins.
Oh, I'll just
if that happens.
Yeah. No. That is what from the get-go of the way Brennan has acted, from the get-go, I had this, like, pit in my stomach that I get when my intuition is, like, swirling, and I was like, they want to put him, basically pluck and put him in.
Well, let's say that isn't on the table, or somehow Hank doesn't get it. He's going to go back to his private defense practice. And guess what? He's going to wish one day, when representing other clients, that these dirty players were no longer involved, and that he had done something to help. Because if he goes back to defense, the day is coming where he's going to have a client, and it's going to be a Buchanan, it's going to be a Tolley, it's going to be a Fanning, it's going to be a Dunn, there will be a Proctor. Not this particular one, because he's been fired. Dishonor on you.
All right, that's it. Dishonor. Dishonor on your whole family. Make a note of this. Dishonor on you. Dishonor on your cow.
So we won't have that particular Proctor back, but there are other Proctors out there. And if Hank does not get whatever position that he may or may not have been offered in exchange for taking on this case, then he is going to wish that he had helped root some of these bad apples out of there, because he's going to have a Karen to protect. one day.
You know that he was Whitey Bulger's.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Oh, I
'Cause
do.
I did a little bit of thing the other day, and I was like, I wonder. So he tried to get Judge Stearns, Richard Stearns, and he was the judge in our case who gave the officers qualified immunity. It was actually Hank Brennan who basically got him out of being the judge for that case. He wouldn't recuse himself, but I guess Hank went, he went the distance. So Hank's got some serious ties to things. So I'm gonna say.
Well, and also in that case, wasn't he? He was going after the FBI for being corrupt. So it's like you you're playing it on both sides there, buddy.
Yeah.
Sword
Which we know from back then the FBI was hella corrupt.
Yeah.
But still, you're playing it on both sides. You can't say there isn't corruption in Massachusetts and then look over and say there's corruption in Massachusetts.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. And I love how many people have taken little clips and sound bites from things Hank has said to the media in prior cases about a defendant having a fair trial, about witnesses whose testimony is not consistent with the evidence. And I mean, all of this applies in the very case that he is prosecuting. It's so wild to me.
I know the defense won't do it, but I think the last word of AJ's thing should say, you know what? Don't just take my word for it. Take Brennan's word for it and put up that clip. Just put up that little clip saying, what kind of like what you were just describing. I can't remember the wording on it. And put up that clip, and that'd be like the defense rests.
That would be,
I think that's
such a taste of his own medicine too. I would love that. That would make me happy.
Believe him.
I like how you think, Mizzy.
I wanted to also mention to you tomorrow I'm going to have a meeting with another impacted family member who is having some interesting meetings, but we want to try to build some momentum behind getting, on the ballot when you can do like questions 1, 2, and 3. We're going to try to get an initiative going so that we can actually say, like, when law enforcement's involved with a death, it needs to be, there needs to be an independent investigation. It cannot be with them. Because I think right now people, are waking up, have woken up to that and are waking up. And there's some other people who are still, little cobwebs in their eyes, but they're going to come around.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be very exciting to have that happen as far as just, action items. Because I feel like, there's just so much to be upset about, but we also have to say, okay, what can we actually get done?
Mm-hmm.
And that I think we can do.
Jen, is this a new case? You said impacted family member?
Well, he's actually a lawyer, and his brother was killed by Fall River police. Yeah. So it's just the same stuff about how they do the investigation and just the close ties. And, he's done some very interesting work with public records. Like he's like filed a lawsuit about getting some of the public records from that DA. Just, a mover and a shaker. And, that's kind of what it takes. I remember when like Justin's case was done, he was like, Jen, does that mean like, are you going to just like, go off and like, I'm like, oh no, man, don't worry. I'm here. I'm here because I have to do this. I have to do it. I mean, just for like people, for life.
Sure.
I mean, just say like some of my neighbors, I'm like, these other people didn't write anything. And I'm like, I'm out here for everybody. I'm out there for them too.
Mm-hmm.
They actually know, like, so, we have to have accountability. We have to have accountability, and we're never getting there as long as they investigate themselves. And I don't even want the district attorney's offices to do it. Honestly, I don't want them to do it.
And by standing out, like what we're talking about doing on
Yes.
Thursday, let me go ahead and put up the poster one more time for anybody who
I just want
hasn't
to say,
seen it.
everyone, we are stronger together. Okay, we are
Yes.
stronger together, and it's people power. Okay, that is what we need: people power to move the needle. And I want to suggest that everyone come out, because the power in numbers. I just said to Mizzy the other day, wouldn't it be great if we had 500 people? And then I was like, okay, I know that that's like really out there, but you know,
it would be great.
That
It
can
would
happen.
be great.
No, I mean, and then I'm like, okay, 200, and then I'm like 100. You know what I mean? But I'm happy if anybody amount of people come out, honestly. But what would that say if we had 500 people there?
It would say the same. Well, it would say louder, but you know,
Yeah.
even if you guys get no more than 10,
Oh, we'll still be
people.
loud.
You know what though? What it's saying is we're watching you. You know, think twice before you surround a helpless person in a semicircle and empty your firearms into him. You know, think twice before you victimize a minor for years and, you know, take part in any of that stuff, because our eyes are open now. We are going to talk about it. We're telling on you if we find out, and we're not taking our eyes off ever again. So, you know, if nothing else, that message has to be shared, because it prevents another Sandra and it prevents another Juston to make that message heard.
Yeah.
That we're paying attention, buddy.
Yeah, and I do, and I'm happy with any amount of people that come. I just like to think of, you know, some of these like big things that happen down in the Boston Common, and I'm like, how come people aren't showing up for that, for this, right?
And they should.
And if you can't come, like share the standout information, because it could be your share with someone else who's like, hey, I have an hour. Even if you have a half hour, an hour, come. If you don't have a sign, we have one. If you want to make one between now and then, awesome. You know, but you know, we're all there with a centralized focus on justice, accountability, and making sure that Morrissey knows that we want him to resign now.
100%. I don't even live there, and I would be jumping for joy to see Morrissey out of office. Mizzy, we have a question from Ask Bob. Welcome back, Ask Bob. He is asking, what is the holdup on arresting Robert Devine and William Farwell?
I don't know. I think the feds are looking into that aspect of the case. Morrissey's never going to arrest them. You know, there was another case that he had of Devine's, and he didn't arrest Devine for that. So, but I mean, the feds look into trafficking, and especially what William was doing was trafficking. He was introducing her to other men. So I think it's just they wanted to get Matthew off the street, and part of the reason what happened, the sequence of events on August 26th, the judge in the civil case had ruled that the attorney general had to turn over everything that they had, because the attorney general is looking into the larceny part of Sandra's case, basically the time theft while they were doing inappropriate things on the time clock. That's what the attorney general was looking into, and they were fighting it because it wasn't their work. Most of it wasn't their work product. And so the judge said that on the 26th, she put her order out on the, it was filed. It was actually fully posted on the 27th. and he was arrested on the 28th. So I think they jumped to get him arrested then because they knew that the attorney general was going to have to turn over some of the work product. They didn't want him to see it without him being arrested or see it and run.
Do you think that maybe one or more of them have taken an immunity agreement to testify against Matthew or anything?
I suspect Joshua Heel, he's the 4th police officer, the one that had with the cat. I think I don't know if he would have gotten an immunity deal, but they might have said, listen, testify and we won't come after you. You know, I probably would be better to put it on. I don't know. I'm not 100% sure on that. But I'm wondering on the flip side of that is if he's talking, because this is a death penalty case.
Yeah.
You murder a witness, that's a death penalty case. The feds take murdering witnesses very seriously. So is he talking? And if he's talking, who's he talking on? The only problem with that is he going to fully say everything he knows about his twin brother? But it also goes beyond them. It's who else is involved and what happened at Morrissey's office for him not to be arrested. What were you told? What were you guaranteed? What conversations were made? So he, you know, they could say now 40 years or 50 years instead of death.
Now, moving forward, is there any way for us, the public, to pay attention to Matthew Farwell's trial? I know federal court is not televised. They won't allow cameras, but is there like a Zoom call where one can listen? Are the transcripts going to be made publicly available? How can we follow that trial?
I highly doubt there'll be a Zoom call, just because people can record those. But I'm hoping to get transcripts. The only thing is because it does involve child abuse, they might not. Those might be the kind of transcripts that they won't release.
Sure.
But we will make sure that, you know, when he does go to trial or whenever there's a court date, we will make sure that we are updating the public. You know, I have my show that I talk about her case on you know, the Justice for Sandra Birchmore group, Facebook group.
Answer this. I think we.
I just wanted to make sure a man didn't just like barge into one of y'all's rooms or something.
I heard a man's voice, but there are no men in this house.
Oh man.
Sorry.
No, you were fine. I just wanted to make sure everyone was safe.
And Barb, Sandra's cousin, she maintains the Justice for Sandra Birchmore website, and she's updating it all the time. And, you know, people can follow me on X. We will make sure the public is updated and on top of it, because we don't want this to be behind closed doors where the public can't see, because that does no good for the public. People need to know what's going on in this case, so this doesn't happen to another child.
Yeah.
So
100%. And guys, I've posted the link to the Justice for Sandra Birchmore website in the show notes below. So if you're watching right now, all you need to do is get out of the chat and into the description beneath the video. Or if you're on replay, it should be right there underneath this video for you. If you would like to just click that link and go read more about Sandra's case. There's also a link to justonroot.com, or is it just for justonroot.com? I don't remember the name
Just
of the.
Juston Root.
Okay. There is a link to that website as well. There is a link to donate to help the family because they paid a ton, I mean, a fortune, to fight for Juston. So there's a link in there to be able to help toward those funds as well. So yeah, if anybody would like to be able to do more with these cases, there are links for you to be able to do that below. And then before I wrap it up here, I want to put this poster up one more time. The purpose for our show today, guys, is to help get the word out for the standout happening this Thursday, the 12th of June, from 2 to 4 p.m. It will be outside of Mike Morrissey's office, which is at 45 Shawmut Road in Canton. We will be providing signs for those who don't have one and need one. And we're going to be speaking out about Karen Reed, about Sandra Birchmore, and about Juston Root. So please, if you're able to, please come. If you can't, then, share links that you might see on social media, share this video, share whatever you see on it. And to find out more, because there may be one or two details that change between now and then. Am I right on that, Mizzy?
Hold on a second.
Okay. Yeah,
Sorry.
just please make sure that you follow
Yes.
at Juston Root on Twitter/X. I have a lot of X viewers right now. And that you follow at Sandra Birchmore on X/Twitter as well.
Just check like the justice pages. So justice for Sandra Birchmore, justice for Juston Root. Just check those the day of. Everything would be posted there if there's any slight deviation in plans. But we're ready to roar. We're ready to go.
Yes. Man, I wish I could just take an afternoon and make it up there. It takes so long to get there from Florida.
I know that like Deanna was supposed to join us, but unfortunately she couldn't. But she's saving all of her power of her voice for Thursday. But she says, I am sorry I lost my voice and I'm trying not to strain it because I plan to using it loudly in the coming days. What's happening in Norfolk County to the citizens of this state needs to stop. Today I cried not only for Karen Reed, John O'Keefe, and their families, but also for myself, my loved ones, strangers, and their families. It is not safe. We have an opportunity with the upcoming elections to address the damage our leaders have done to our state. First, we will focus on the disgraced and corrupt Michael Morrissey. We won't stop there. See everyone soon. And so that's from Deanna.
Love it. I feel so bad that she wasn't able to join in today, but I'm glad that she's conserving her energy for a better cause, so to speak. So
we were like, we got it. It's all good. You saved that for Thursday.
Right. Jen, do you have any final thoughts before we close up here?
Just, come out, stay in touch. If you can't come to this one, stay on the justice pages so that you can hear about anything upcoming. It's going to take us all and more. So, if those who care about justice, tap in, because we're going to have more stronger together standouts. And if you want to sign Juston's petition, just go to justonroot.com. That's just a petition for an independent investigation. And if you do go in there, you will be entered into like my database. And that's where I'll start to send out once this question with, having an independent investigation, when law enforcement is involved with a death on the ballot, we want to try to work that initiative. So stay tuned in, plug in. That's all.
Excellent.
Thank you
And
for having me.
Mizzy, do you have any final thoughts before we close it up?
Yeah. Sandra, Juston, and John, and extended to Karen, they're all victims from beyond, what happened to them. They're victims of the Norfolk DA's office. The investigations that were run by that office, the way he allowed the Massachusetts State Police to conduct these investigations, we can't allow that in civil society. We need our police and especially our DAs to be fighting for good, not for evil. And in all of these cases, the people who are the suspects are evil cops. And we need, everybody to continue to back us up. Just because Karen's trial might be ending soon doesn't mean the fight ends. Yeah. And even her fight, she has a long way to go, because there will be the lawsuit with the O'Keefe family. And we don't know how this trial is going to end. We all sitting here hope to God that Karen is acquitted. But there's also that slim chance of what happened last time.
Yeah.
So please come join us on Thursday. We need to make sure that Michael Morrissey sees numbers and he sees that we are not going to stop. We are always going to we're going to keep watching him. We're going to keep holding him accountable, because what happened in these 3 cases is unacceptable. And again, if you want to get more information on Sandra's case, go to that link that Britt provided for you guys, and that'll get you to our Facebook group and my X page for Sandra, and come join us on there. So, thank you, Britt, for having us.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Thank you both for coming on and for making us all aware, and for all the efforts that you're putting into putting an end to all this nastiness. It's scary what we're seeing. I mean, it's absolutely frightening. Bob says cops protect cops, always back the blue until they come for you. I mean, yeah, you're not wrong, Bob. So yeah, guys, just a reminder, on Thursday from 2 to 4 is going to be the standout. So please, if you're local, outside of Morrissey's office in Canton, Jen will be there, Mizzy will be there, Deanna Corby will be there. There will be signs for you. Just please be present, show up, make your presence known, and help spread the message that we're not going to stop watching you. So thank you again, ladies. I'll have the poster up for the chat for a little bit, but anytime the two of you want to come back, I have an open door policy. You both are always welcome. So I look forward to having you back very, very soon to talk about both y'all's cases more. So
thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Of
Bye,
course.
guys.
Have a great night. Get some rest for Thursday.
That's right. Yeah. Okay. Good night.
Good night, Jen. Aren't they great? Oh, I'm way too big. All right, guys. So I'm going to have the poster up for the remaining bit of time so everybody can get all the details. Please, please, please be sure to share this stream, share the links and information for this standout that's coming up on Thursday. And if you're local, please, please be there. If you can't, then just help spread awareness about it, because we do need to, in as large of numbers as we can, be there to show up and to speak out against all the corruption happening in Norfolk County. And the one at the center of all of it is DA Morrissey. So guys, I hope you have an amazing night. I'm going to go ahead and get going. I will see you guys probably this weekend. So stay tuned. Have a wonderful week. Free Karen Reed, justice for Sandra Birchmore, and justice for Juston Root. Peace, love, and butt dials, guys.